listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, our continued series of Chicago mayoral candidates. Our discussions with them for your consideration if you live in Chicago.
And you're undecided, right? Or you're still shopping around, so to speak?
I'm
Speed dating?
Yeah. I'm like in Chicago party ant,
Oh, yeah.
I got to say. But as I mentioned before the news, inaugural member of Whitey's for Willie.
That's right.
Back in 2015. And I'm still keeping Willie Wilson under consideration for 2019. Let me tell you something about Willie before we bring him on. He gets made fun of the way he talks. He's not exactly Churchillian. Let's just be honest.
That's rude.
Well, he does. He gets made fun of. We hear it. There is one successful entrepreneur in the field of 20 running for mayor. One. And his name is not Bill Daley. And it's certainly not, obviously, all these political hacks that have been in sinecures at the local and state level for decades. Mendoza, Preckwinkle.
Oh, she got sworn in yesterday. She had to take a day off of campaigning and go to Springfield to get sworn in for her other job.
Preckwinkle,
Ugh, Grady.
as we played here, doesn't even believe in entrepreneurship. She doesn't believe in self-employment. This is the rest of the field. Willie Wilson has grade school education, sharecropper in the Jim Crow South, made his way north, and made his fortune in Chicago. It is a great American story. And so you can make fun of the way that Willie Wilson talks and some of his phraseology. I mean, by the way, have you heard the Daley family talk?
D's, Dems, and Does?
I mean, seriously.
We're going to the Jewels?
But Willie Wilson's life, his life, regardless of what you think of him as a mayoral candidate, demands your respect. Because we don't have enough Willie Wilsons in this city and state, particularly want to stay, much less hold themselves out for public office. And with that, we're pleased to be joined again by Willie Wilson. Willie, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you all, both of you all. I appreciate the introduction and it's sincere in their heart,
Yeah, well, I like you, and I respect what you've done with your life and what you're continuing to try and do. And frankly, the thing that you've made the most publicity over in this election cycle, the handing out money to churches to help people pay their bills, I like that too. You know what? It's my money. I could do what I want with it. If we had more politicians that had that attitude towards the electorate, we'd be in a better place.
Absolutely right. People talk about me handing out cash. The reason why I hand out cash a lot is this way, because a lot of people on the street don't have IDs that they can go to the current change and cash a check, and that's because a lot of times they get out of jail, they don't have the money to buy IDs. And then on holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I always go hang out with the needy and the people who need things. So they ask, well, why don't you buy them a turkey and stuff like that versus money? Well, they haven't thought about it. A lot of people don't have a stove to cook a turkey on.
Oh, wow. So what's the reaction that you've gotten from people that you've handed money to? Because we've seen the video, we heard from some of them, but are they going to support you? Is that even brought up? Do you mention anything like that?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't even think they vote. I've been doing it for the last 30-odd years. I never have brought it out until I got into politics. People brought it out on me. When they weren't saying nothing before I made the announcement running for mayor. I mean, we done it 6 months ago, and before that as well. The cameras were there rolling. Nobody said nothing. Last year, 2 years ago, nobody said anything. So, I'm not going to stop. I mean, because of the fact of it is that those people need food to eat. They're human beings. Some of them hit tough time. I've never have and never will ask anybody to vote for me on account of something that I do for them. I was put here to help those who cannot help me back, and that's what I do. I found my way in life. And by the way, for those who say I can't talk or this and that, I always tell them this here too. At least I signed in front of my check, and they signed the back of theirs. You know.
Absolutely. Amen to all of the above. So let me ask you this. In the wake of the Ed Burke indictment last week, you and Paul Vallis sort of had the same position, which is, all these people that are connected to Ed Burke should either have the self-respect to get out of the race because they admit that they've been part of this cabal for the last half century or some fraction of it, or the voters should see them for what they are, which is more of the same. Just to develop your position on Burke and all of these candidates across the racial spectrum, male, female. How do you distinguish yourself from the field?
Well, listen, all of the other candidates that is running for mayor, somebody have given them money to run. I put in the last 4 or 5 months in my campaign over $1 million my own money.
Wow.
And I do that for a reason, because I'm not going to be bought by none of them. Yesterday, the union gave another $500,000, I believe, to Tony Prepwinkel.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to take money for anybody to dictate to me and tell me what to do. I'm running for the people, and I'm not running for a paycheck. I have a record that you can check back and see what I've done, while the other one talking about what they're going to do. So it's a big difference. The other thing is that I just simply, flat out don't want nothing for myself in this race. I just want the people, not all people, equality for all citizens of the city of Chicago and 7-7 community, whether you're white, black, dream, it doesn't really matter. We're all human beings.
And so, Willie, so how do we get there? How do we get to a better city that's not so segregated in a de facto sense, also in an economic opportunity sense? How do we get to that place? What would you do?
Well, as I said last time I ran for mayor, 2015, and I said when I ran for president, you take the casino, open that up, $1 billion probably a year. You start with that, and you start with legalize and taxing marijuana, and then you do mag field, and then you manage the budget. Then you take those dollars as well to help pay for some of the policemen, the fire department, school teacher pension. You spent over $1 billion for just police corruption. You change all this by putting total resources back into those 8 communities who is depressed. So if you take $8 billion and put no hair, and you take $1 billion and put a sidewalk, why don't you take a couple billion of those dollars and put in those poor neighborhoods and create training and jobs and things of that nature?
What about cutting spending? Do you have any ideas for that?
How do I cut spending?
Cut spending, yeah.
Spending. Well, you manage your budget. I cut it through my company. I found myself in debt overnight because of the economy. $72 million in debt one year. I woke up one morning. $72 million in debt. I had to come out of there. It took me 2 or 3 years to come back out of there and get that paid off.
$72 million?
$72 million overnight. Wow. Economy went sour.
During the recession.
During the recession.
I'm the only person in this race that have business experience. You got to have business experience to run a city like Chicago. I am definitely pro-business. All right? You have to be pro-business in order to keep business here and create jobs. Yeah. Lower these taxes. Don't raise taxes on people that run them to Indiana or Texas or Arkansas, those places down there. We can do it in Chicago because you raise taxes, you run people out of the city. And there go your tax dollars. Yeah. You don't raise taxes 8 times and bag taxes, and I'll cut those red light cameras out, cut them bad taxes out, take 15% of the money that comes in, set aside in a trust to help those people who cannot afford to send their kid to college to get a free education. We would do those things. And last on this subject, I would put in place and I got a TV commercial on this too, as well as radio commercial spot. I would put in place an audit every 3 months of each department in the city of Chicago to keep people honest. These other people that are running for mayor right now, especially Prepwinkel and Mendoza and those other people in the Burke situation, those guys are crooks. They need to resign.
So just to be specific on the tax issue. So you got a lot of candidates talking about some form of property tax increase. Even Mendoza talking about like a graduated property tax system. You got commuter tax, LaSalle Street tax, city income tax. You're opposed to all of those tax increases or new taxes?
Well, absolutely. You can't raise taxes on people who cannot pay taxes. Who most people today in Chicago, a lot of them don't even own their own homes. You know, while these people raising taxes and running people out of home, I'm taking hundreds of thousands of dollars going to them and help giving them money to pay their taxes while they rob people of their taxes. You know, it's no good to raise taxes and run people out of the city. Lower taxes, keep the taxes where it's at. Don't raise taxes. Keep the people in the city. It don't work. Tax don't work. But here's the other thing. I was checking some of the payrolls from the for the city. A person made a lot of them on there. You can check it for yourself. His record. Person made $100,000 a year on a city job, ended up getting total 200 some thousand, 300 some thousand overtime.
Right. Yeah. Right. The overtime play.
So that's a waste of money there, and all those things have got to go.
Let me ask you about another topic that I've asked other candidates on, because I just don't think it's getting the attention it deserves. The Chicago Tribune stories about the sexual abuse scandal and the cover-up of sexual abuse inside the Chicago public school system. How have you received that information that the Tribune has uncovered? What would you do about it?
Well, you need an elected school board, and the elected school board will not allow that to happen because the elected school board represents each community in that which they serve in, an elected school board. And by doing that, they make the decision. Wouldn't nobody would have kept some 10 years, if I understood it right, 10 years those young ladies and young men have been sex abused. You know, if you're an elected school board, they can watch out and understand, protect that. If you have a appointed school board like this mayor have right now, and by the way, it's more than the mayor responsible for that. It'll fit the alderman as well because they go along with him what he say he'll do. And when somebody else in control of your kid and dictating what they say to do, they can hide it under the rug. As matter of fact, that should be thoroughly investigated, and people should be arrested for that. You know, when you do wrong, you need to be investigated and arrested for your crime, that what you do.
Novel concept. All right, he's Willie Wilson. Willie, people can get more information on your candidacy by going to what website?
WillieWilsonForMayor.com. WillieWilsonForMayor.com. And Dan and Amy, we're going to win this race this time.
All right.
And I see your campaign signs all over the north side, so they're everywhere.
Well, that's encouraging.
On
That's
Ashland,
an encouraging
Irving,
sign.
Addison, it's great.
All right, he's
Thank you.
Willie Wilson, named after the great Kansas City Royal center fielder. So if you're a baseball fan, you can remember him that way too. Willie, at least the name. Willie Wilson, WillieWilsonForMayor.com. Willie, thanks for joining us again. Good luck. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I'm Lou Dunn.